Hello everyone, this is Yashika this side. Today I'm going to talk about ES6, setting up the boilerplate and a little introduction on let and const identifiers. First of all, ES6 is ECMAScript 2015 and it came up with very new features which has evolved JavaScript to a very new level. And when we try to use ES6 with our projects, we need a transpiler so that it can convert it into a JavaScript version which is compatible to the browsers. So here I'm using Babel as a transpiler. And currently I'm not using a browser version for this particular example. I'm using the CLI version, so I've installed Babel CLI for the transpilation and Babel preset ES 2015 which supports the ES 2015 features respectively. So for setting up an ES6 project, all you need to do is to install a Babel CLI and Babel preset 2015 and set up the package.json as shown in the video. Now I'm going to talk about the let identifier. So earlier before using the ES6, we were using var identifier for declaring the variables. So what happened with var is it's the scope binding with the var is quite loosened. So if you see this particular example, um, let me just rebuild this. If we see this particular example, we see that we can access this y variable inside this function even though it's being declared inside the if block. So the scope of this y function, it is limited to the closest function, but when it comes to the let, what happens with let is its scope is limited to the closest block. So if I do this, you will see that I can access the y variable. But now if I remove this let y here and I declared it inside the if construct, then y variable will not be accessible outside this if block. So you see y is not defined error here. So what let gives us is it gives us a block scoping. It tightens the scope which we were having with var. Moving on to const identifier. So before ES6, we were using var itself for declaring the constants, and what we usually used to do is to declare the constants in capitalized letters, but it doesn't make the object or the variable that we are using, it doesn't make that variable immutable. So if in case we want to make a primitive value immutable, in that case we should go for a const. So here you will see that I will be able to mutate the value of foo variable. So if you see, first value of foo variable is 10 and then I assigned it 5. Now just and let's see the example with const. So if you see the error identifier foo has already been declared. So I specifically mentioned that it helps us in case of primitive values, but because it makes the references constant and not the value. So in case we are using const with an object on an array, we are saving the reference of an object in an array and not the value. So the value can be mutated in case of const if it's not a primitive value. Let's see that in the next example. So here I am declaring an object as a const variable. So you will see that I can assign a property object.foo to the constant, and this will work. So I have this object defined. Now if I try to reassign an object to obj, this will give us error because here I am trying to change the reference, and when we declare a variable with const, we are making the references immutable. So assignment to const variable. So we get this type error. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Please let me know how you find it, so I'll keep sharing new videos. Thank you so much, everyone.